to be here. Hey, welcome to our very first week of Building a Story Brand. I'm super excited about this book. I don't know. I hope you guys are too. When I heard Laura sharing about how much this book had changed her posting, I was like, oh yeah, I remember asking her however long ago, what is it that you're doing? Because your posting has completely changed. And so I think what really impacted me was that I saw the change before I knew that there was a book. And I think that it's also a tool. I think, and personal growth is super good. I mean, Laura, I know that you do a lot of personal growth books as well, and leadership and that kind of thing. But we are in an industry where we can learn skills. And I think sometimes we negate the skills that we need to learn, or new skills we could learn that could amplify the results that we have. And so the further on I got into the book, I was like, oh yeah, no. And here's the thing. And Laura, I don't know, how long did it take you to read it the first time?
I think I went through it over a period of like a month, because you really have to kind of digest it, right? Maybe it was even 3 months of just like, oh wow. And then now I'm, trying to figure out how to put that into practice. And you just keep getting better at it as we go along and learn. But yes, you're right. It's totally a skill. Everybody can learn how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so I mean, typically when we do a book study, it's usually like, okay, just do the first chapter and we'll see how that goes. And then we'll kind of progress from there. And I'm like, oh, we totally could have, if I was going to do this again, we would do the first section for the first week and then do the next section. Because I think what's going to happen, knowing this group of people, you guys are going to be like, okay, slow is okay, but I really want to know how to do this, right? Like I'm reading the first chapter. I'm like, but give me the things, people. Like, I want to know how to implement this now. And now I know that it makes sense, right?
But you have to go through it, I think, at a slower pace to figure it out.
Well, and I'm just,
now.
What I'm thinking is, I think we could probably go through this in a month, but then still have like check-ins almost, right? Like, how are you guys doing with this? How's this? Like, for some people, this might completely transform how you post. For other people, it might be some tweaks. For some people, it might be, oh, I remember when we used to do more of that. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So Laura, I would love to start with asking you, just in case people who are here haven't heard, what was the impact that this book made in your business? So now, like, we're using Laura as a guinea pig, bless her, because she read the book, implemented the stuff, saw the results, and now we're coming back around to it going, okay, there's something here. We need to all get on the same road here.
I was actually doing a training with Rachel Rogers, and it was, I think, I forget what it was now, but it was basically what attracted me to her program was that she wanted to teach how to get away from the hey girl messages, the cold messages, that kind of stuff, and how we can make our posts so that they come to you. And this works because I don't cold message, and that's how I got all of my signups. As they come you want to wake up in the morning and have people in your inbox, this is how you do it. Guaranteed. It happens. I'm living proof. So it is definitely something that changed how I posted. I realized that when in the early days, oh gosh, now I look back at those Facebook memories. And we were talking about that this week, Janelle, how we used to post, and I used to post very sciencey. And some people that may resonate with, but it's a very, very few. And so it talks about how to make your message super clear and concise without a whole lot of words. Less is more, because as the longer it is, I've talked to people who are not in Plexus. If it's too long, they will not read it. And so we want to clarify our message and what we're trying to say so that they pay attention, because really we our attention span is very, very short. And as we go through the book, he talks about how our brain is wired to, for survival, I think it is. Where is it here? Yeah, like if we can't make our message clear so that they can, what is going to help them survive and thrive, they're going to tune out, and then you lost them. And if our message is too broad, I would say, like, remember how we talked about a niche too? That really, I was scared to do that, because I thought, well, if I don't talk about gut health so much and I talk about something else, how is that going to work? Because that was my thing, is gut health. And it really does narrow it down for people. They will still come to me for gut health, but they now have, I have more of a focus of, like, for me, it's intermittent fasting and the weight loss part of it, that I really love helping people with. So yeah.
Yeah. And so it really got me thinking about other people who I feel have a very clear, concise message, who post very short things often, and how successful they are.
Yeah.
Right? The first thought that came to my mind was Cody Helmer. Cody Helmer often has really nice, clean pictures. And oftentimes the posts that get a lot of attention are the ones that are super short, right? And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear from you guys as far as your thoughts on this goes, but I feel like if you attract enough people with shorter messages, and I'm not talking like take Plexus, it's pink, it works. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a connection message between you and the people that you're serving. If you connect with them well over and over and over again with short little pieces, I feel like they're much more likely to read something that might be a little longer, because they already know that they're connecting with your message as to who you are, right? And then they'll come in and they'll maybe take a little bit more. What's your thoughts on that, you guys? Anybody? Does anybody else have another person that they follow that they're like, clear, concise message, it's not super wordy?
I like Becoming Minimalist, and he posts on Facebook a lot. But what he does is he posts a short thing, and then he has a link to a longer article if you want to read the longer article. And I think that's more effective, because I'm not a person who's going to read a long post. I'll be like, wow, 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 wow. Unless at the beginning, there's something about it that draws me into it, and it really hits what I'm struggling with. But still, if it's too long, I'd rather have a link so I can go check it. Sometimes I'll like save the link and I'll go back and read it, or I just print it, because I do better printing sometimes than reading from the internet.
Yeah. So that was Becoming Minimalist. That's awesome. And my ADD kicks in too. And I'm like, there's words. And those people that know me know how I read things. I read the first sentence or two, and I scroll down to the bottom, and I'll start reading from the bottom up. And if I can't get enough of the idea in those like few sentences, I'm like, nope, I'm done. Unless it's going to capture me, right?
Well, that's what he talks about in the book. He's like, no matter the human brain, no matter what region of the world we are in, is drawn toward clarity and away from confusion. So even if we have the best products, we can lose out if we cannot get our message clear and concise and compelling.
Did anybody have a moment where they were, and we talked about this, I think, on our team call last week? Was it team call or was it our gold mastermind? I know we talked about this within the last like 8 days. Anybody like start reading, you're like, but hold on, I have so many things to say. I can't do it in a short period of time. If I don't write the things, I'm not saying all the things you need to hear, right? I think we talked about it in the way of trying to explain to somebody what our business is, right? And it's so hard to give somebody a sentence, right? I've started saying, I help struggling moms, because I'm trying to niche down. I help struggling moms design a supplement routine that is going to support their nutritional and health goals. And people are like, oh, okay, right? It seems a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, but like I actually change people's lives. But that's just sort of an aside, and we'll figure that out later. Did anybody else notice though, when he was writing out all of the things that we need, like that we subconsciously look for in products or in something, right? I was like, oh, that's plexus. That's plexus. That's plexus. I like highlighted them all in my book. I'm like, oh, look at all those needs that we're meeting that people need to know. Did anybody else catch that? Anybody? Yeah.
The other thing I like about becoming minimalist is he doesn't post about how-tos, or his product is minimizing your life. And he has books and that kind of thing, but sometimes he just posts inspirational quotes. It's more about the person that he is and sharing that. And then people want to know more. Why is your life so great? And I think that draws me in too, because I don't feel like I'm being sold to all the time.
Yeah. You know who does it really super well too? I'm gonna have to check out that account. Do you follow him on Instagram or Facebook?
I just do Facebook. I am an Instagram baby. But I don't remember if it was this book. I've listened to the whole book on Overdrive. But I also came across a website called Content Revolution. It's actually Brandon Lucero. And he, I forget what I was going to say now. It was something, what did you just say?
Oh, don't ask me.
Oh, I forgot. I'll say it later, but
you'll catch the train back. Don't worry. We do this lot.
The train went off the track, so maybe it'll come back.
You're in good company, my friend.
Oh, Amy says, yeah, eat, drink, find a mate. Fall. That one really resonated with me too. On page 7.
Yeah.
I think he said.
I had to laugh about the whole find a mate. I'm like, yeah, any single guys want to come and find a mate?
Yes, this was really powerful for me. If the information isn't helping them eat, drink, find a mate, fall in love, build a tribe, experience a deeper sense of meaning, or stockpile weapons.
We're probably not stockpiling weapons with plexus.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Blasting them with noise. Sorry.
Actually, you're stockpiling health weapons.
I like that.
Yeah, because you're building your arsenal of health protection for today and the future. So
yes. I thought it was interesting that build a tribe was in here though. Did that give anybody else pause? They were like, that's something that we're actually doing or looking for all the time. Mm-hmm. Carrie, do you have thoughts? Your thoughts this morning?
Well, as I was reading it, I had to remind myself that this man does not work for Plexus. Like, I was like, this is not a Plexus book. Like, but it seems so geared towards everything that we do that, right? You'd think he was hired by the company to put this out, but yeah.
The other thing though, and that you make a good point, but Plexus has been using this book for 4 years. I think it was 4 years ago that Jarrett Abart started talking about this. Hold on, let me double check. I'll date myself before 2017. Jarrett Abart started talking about this at least 3 years ago, if not 4, about building a story brand. And I think either he brought it to corporate or corporate introduced it to him, but they still, so for example, when Immune Plus came out, they were building a story brand around Immune Plus. And they do this specifically because we know facts tell and stories sell, right? So if you have an emotional connected story, you're going to be able to do this way better.
Related to the building the tribe, the book that Plexus recommended, I think it was for January, was The Power of the Other. And I don't know if you guys have read it, but it is really, really good. And it's really about surrounding yourself with people that support you and that are, so quote, corner for people. And that was really eye-opening for me. That relates to what you're saying. And so if you're doing that, you're building your story brand, you're drawing people to you that have the same interest, and you're bringing them, and you're all working together to improve things.
Absolutely.
That was the Dr. Henry Cloud one, right? Power of the Other.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
That is one of Tarl's favorite books. I've actually heard him reference that book like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Have I read it yet? Nope, but probably need to. No, that's fantastic. And actually, when you were talking about that, that reminded me that, okay, can I just ask, how many of us have ever been afraid to offend somebody with the direction our posting is going as far as your business goes? We don't want to offend anybody, or we don't want to not even offend, but not include them, right? So I'll give you an example of myself, because I'm calling myself out. So when I went to really try to niche down, and if you guys don't know what that means, like the concept is you need to have one specific stream of people that you're speaking to. It can't be everybody. You are not a taco. You are not for everybody. You need to focus on your people, right? And when I went to try to write it out, I'm like, oh, but I'm going to miss this group. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss. Stop it. Focus. So I still struggle with this, right? But it reminded me of Laura again, her post that she made. Do you want to talk about that? Or you want me to tell you?
Oh, right.
I think it's perfect. It's seriously perfect.
I shared something on Instagram that I thought was funny.
It was hilarious. But can I just say, it was hilarious. I am one of her people. It was really, really fun.
It was a political thing. It was like a spoof on Donald Trump. Like it was like him dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. And it was so funny because if you know me, Mrs. Doubtfire is one of my favorite movies. And so she didn't know that, obviously, but she went into my DMs and she's been following me. She's wanted to try Plexus, but never, ever pulled the trigger. And she probably followed me for like 2 years. Had a good relationship, everything. And she got in my DMs and she's like, tell me what this means. And I'm like, I thought it was fun. I'm like, what do you mean? She was really offended that I would post that. And she went on and then she was video calling me and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't answer. And I was like, then she just said she unfriended me and blocked me right away. After 2 years. So I was like, whatever, you're not my people. But then I took it down and then I messaged some of my other American ambassadors and they said they laughed. They're conservative and they laughed, or Republican. Sorry, I guess it is in the States. So.
And the funny thing is that that's who you are, right? Like you found that funny, and we don't all have to agree on everything. You don't have to always agree 1,000% with your entire clientele. But if they don't know how to take you, they're not going to be able to walk with you in the same way as someone that's like, oh yeah, no, okay, well, I didn't think it was funny, but I still think you're great.
Well, and it got
right?
300 likes and a bunch of shares. And my normal post maybe will get 20 likes. So.
Oh my goodness. But but that girl, even though she's been following you for a long time, you decided to pull out this corner that was real you, right?
She didn't like it.
She didn't like it. And I was like, that's totally fine. But guys, don't be afraid to be who you are. It was such a good lesson for me, Laura. I'm so thankful that you shared it with me. And obviously, because I keep bringing it up, it was such a good lesson for me because it opened my eyes again to say, hey, you know what? Some of those things that we worry a little bit about as far as like, and I'm not like, guys, tasteful, right? But if you don't show who you are, how are you going to attract that tribe? How are they going to know that they belong in your tribe if you're not authentically who you are, right? Carrie's a pastor's wife. Sorry, calling you out this morning. Carrie's a pastor's wife. She just happens to be next screen, right? And if she pulls that piece, it's a massive piece of her life. She didn't talk about that, right? That it's probably going to come up at some point in time if you're building a relationship with somebody, and that might be important to somebody. That might be the thing that really gets them to lay out their stuff with her. Be like, hey, you're trustworthy. You're somebody that I resonate with, whatever. Nicole G, who's got a baby on her lap. She never showed that she had kids, and she, for whatever reason, was basically showing that she had no children ever. And then she was, do you know what I mean? Like, she'd be attracting you can hear what I'm saying. Anyway.
That was the point I was trying to make earlier that I forgot. On the content revolution, he talks about think about how many people's brands you're drawn to just because of the personality of the person and who they are. And when you're around them or you hear them, you think, I just like that person and I want to learn more about them. It's kind of like finding a new friend, right? So he talks a lot about being yourself and don't be afraid to do that. And people will be drawn to you.
Totally. I'm really excited. How many of you guys, like maybe you read it and you were like, wah, wah. Okay, well, I'm coming to the book study anyway. I said I would. I'm really excited to clarify our message. But here's the other piece that I thought of as we were reading this. And Laura, maybe you were already doing this. Maybe I'm sure you've already thought about this. I realized how important this is, not just on the outside, attracting people to come in, but to clarify our message internally with our team, right? Because how many times do we get caught up in all of the things, right? Well, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. No, clarity, right? Streamline. So that people know, oh, I want to help 3 people so that I can offset the cost of my product by $50 a month. But I have to jump through 7 flaming hoops and find a hedgehog and ride it to the finish line. No. Right? Thoughts on that, Laura?
I didn't really understand what you were saying.
So for our teams internally,
yeah.
Thank you. No, if you didn't understand, there were like 7 other people there with you. For our teams, if we are not clarifying our message on our business and trying to help them to build a business, if we haven't clarified the story on why they want to build or
I see.
how they can do it, then we're missing something on the internal side, not just on the external.
Yes. Okay, now I get it. Wasn't you. I just sometimes process things.
Sometimes it's me. I'm gonna own that one.
Yeah. Yes, I will say that. Yeah. Again, if you're speaking to a large thing and going, oh, get you to silver, gold, or whatever, they would be so confused because they'd be like, I don't even know what that is. But yes, if you clarify it and say, what if it could help you with $50? What if it could help you with your grocery money, covering the cost of your products, that people understand. It's like bite size for them. And then they're like, okay, I can manage that. I think a lot of people are scared now that I am talking to people who have said to me, I would like to share with 1 or 3 people, but I don't want to do the business. And I'm like, that's okay. They want to have an accountability partner that they do it with. And I'm like, that is totally fine. So they're at a space where they want me to help them just share a little bit. And who knows, that may inspire them afterwards to do a little more, but I'm totally okay with that. And that's kind of nice when they tell me, I just want to do this. And then I'm like, I can help you to totally do that. So yeah.
Awesome. Carrie.
Well, I don't want to take it away from that point, but I was just going to say that the most impactful lines in this whole chapter for me, because I have yet to love exercise, as you all know, was the part where he talks about, imagine your potentials are on a treadmill and like your elevator talk, right? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that just that like hit me, like I'm way too wordy and I need to develop my elevator. What do they call it? Your elevator speech or what?
Elevator speech.
On page 9. I
on
have
page
that,
9. Yeah.
that whole thing highlighted. Yeah.
Diana just popped her video on to show you, Carrie, that she is on her bike exercising right now. So
I know, and every Zoom with you, I think, okay, I got to do this. But yeah.
Diana, we're allowing you to influence us. That's
and
awesome.
I think one of the things that impacted me is I thought I had to share about all the things that Plexus could do for all the people. And we really, I mean, I love Plexus, obviously, but we are not the Plexus brand. Do you know what I mean? Like we, we are not Plexus. So it's like, yeah, I don't know how else to say that, but it was like, oh, if we show them a bottle of Vital Biome or whatever, I'll do it occasionally, but I don't want to do that all the time, right? Because we are not the Plexus brand.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing I did want to touch on, and you just reminded me, so thank you. This book is not to tell you that what you are doing is inherently wrong.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know that there are different ways of doing it. And how Laura referenced how we used to post, that our conversation went like, do you remember how badly we used to post? We became successful posting really bad and doing all the wrong things, and it was okay. So don't feel like this book is here to tell you all the things you're doing wrong. That is not what the purpose of this is. This is taking you where you are right now and saying, hey, you've got a good base going on. Let's elevate it a little bit and let's kind of tweak it. Kind of like my theme lately has been, we are not tearing down the entire house. We are maybe tightening a few screws in some light fixtures, right? Like, this is not a complete tear down. This is tightening some screws. And I love that you guys are here for this, because it shows that you want more. And I do honestly believe we were made for more. We only know what we know, right? You can't know better or can't do better until you know better. And this is the portion of the knowing better. But Carrie, I totally resonate with where you said you were like, oh my gosh, they're on a treadmill. And I think forevermore, it's going to be in my brain that as I'm talking to a person, I'm going to picture them running on a treadmill and be like, okay, how long until exhaustion? Okay, so how many words can I say and which words should I use, right?
Yeah, and what popped into mind with that was not only the aspect of your testimonial you share, because mine's so big, as is Janelle's and like a lot of you. So maybe not everyone needs to hear I had migraines, fibromyalgia, insomnia, constipation. Maybe I focus on one area. And then like when it comes to sharing the business, I think I have made that so big to people because, well, you could sign as a customer, ambassador, all the stuff. And I need to really just like simplify and kind of just tweak that a bit. And so that made me think of all the areas. So I got treadmills all over my brain now, thanks to this book.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
I didn't realize that our brains, like he talks about that and saying that in that page that our brains burn too many calories if our message isn't clear. And so we're inherently wired for that. And I was like, oh, how many times have I posted and people are having to spend too much energy and so they just leave.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I like to write. I love to write. And there are a lot of people that will read my wordiness, and that's, bless them for doing that, but that's not for everyone, right? So yeah.
Well, and you reference Cody Helmer. She does do short, concise. However, there are times when she does do a long post. And so people, like you said, are willing to read it because it's not all the time. And
it's usually entertaining and it's storytelling, right? Like it's kind of that Kendra Hall. So if you guys remember, she's been at many different Plexus things. And guys, what is her, I can't remember what her tagline is. But she basically helps people to tell their stories. And it becomes like, she talks about the tissue in her grandma's purse or the, and you remember these nuggets of her stories. They're like melded into your brain. Obviously it's a tissue and it's a purse, right? Like, and I think I heard that 3 years ago. But I think that's another one of those pieces, right? Is that you learn how to tell your story well when it's longer. Go ahead, Carrie.
Well, and I think what draws so many people to her is because she's not like, I'm amazing and successful, look at me. It's usually a pretty self-deprecating post that says, I did this bad and here's what I need. I process by sharing with you. Like, she's just so real. And I think her most popular post was the Christ died for it, I better take care of it. Like just 2 lines and it just blew up about her body, right? Anyway, she's a good one to
I've seen that post before. There's a few of them that have done it and I follow them. So somebody asked me, I think it was Jimmy,
Yeah.
if I do my own posts. Some, but I do like what we talked about on that call. I do follow other people for inspiration and oh, I really like that, how they worded that. So I'll save posts and then I will use bits and pieces, use it as a springboard to kind of get ideas, because sometimes I don't write every single post, but I've taken little things and kind of put them in together.
Yeah. And remember that when you do that, what we
Yeah.
suggest people do is to love the post, the original post, and you leave a comment. So
Yeah.
here's the proper etiquette of it. 3 words minimum, 4 is better, and those don't include an emoji. Oh my gosh, I love this post. Great. Wow, that is so incredibly inspiring. Something that is value driven. So what you're doing is you are thanking the person by bumping up their post for
Yeah.
other people, right?
And I do that for diamonds too, that I don't even really know. I just comment on their thing and I say, wow, thank you for sharing, or whatever it is, because I know I'm going to take some part of their post.
And it's totally cool. Like, do it, go for it. But that's just another one of those duplication things that we need to be telling people. Like Marge took my post last night and she had commented on it, and then she shot me a message. She goes, "Thanks for the post, babe." I'm like, no problem. Like, whatever, right? And it's just something that we do, and it's okay, right? But by the way, don't like put your own picture on it. It's weird unless you're doing like a before and after picture, which is totally cool, guys. Like, you've got my permission, use my photos all you want. It's just weird when I scroll and I'm seeing like myself walking on the beach on a post that's I haven't made. It's just strange. It's okay. Like, it's just a little weird.
Can I just say, if they want to use it for a testimony, then it would be like, hey, I am so inspired by Janelle's,
Thank you.
her journey, right? And that is totally fine,
Yeah.
because we get in, that's wonderful. We get inspired. And so last week I was inspired by, I can't remember her name. Anyways, so that's all you do, is you make sure that you tag them in the post. If it's more there, you're not adding a lot to it. You're just, man, they made you think, or whatever. Thank you so much. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. And so you put that at the top of the post. It also helps you so that you're not like, people don't think that the post is yours, right? Like, it's not your story. And they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that your arm fell off and you grew another one. You're like, no, that wasn't my story. That was my friend, Erica. Like, it just creates clarity, right? And that's what we're planning to do here. So I guess I have a question for you guys, and maybe you haven't thought about it, maybe you have, but who is your ideal audience that you guys are speaking to, that you want to speak to? You guys can throw it in the chat, or you can share it, or if you guys have questions and we need to try to help you figure that out, we can, or we could try.
Janelle, Jessica asked about the name that somebody mentioned. Was it Kendra Hall? And I put it in the comments. I don't know if I spelled her name right, in case, Jessica, you're trying to search her or something. Was it Kendra Hall?
Kendra, yeah. Kendra Hall. Yeah. The other person we keep referencing is Cody Helmer, and it's Kodie Helmer. Her posts are hilarious. I would say she writes all of her own stuff. I do all my own stunts too.
I was trying to reference people kind of in my age group, rather than the younger people. But I found maybe sometimes the older we get, the crankier we get. And so I've kind of dropped that level from, 60 down to maybe 45-ish, so that I can still relate to them. I've been there. And so that's kind of where I go with it, as well as anything health related. I am so interested in health and that stuff. So that's kind of my niche.
I love that. That's fantastic. And like, it can almost be not even just like an age group, but you could go like, grandmas who are passionate about being active and, pursuing health while they have a rich schedule or a fully fulfilled life, but still want to invest in other people, right?
Right. And
That's what I
that's
see for you,
exactly,
right? I see that. I see you're active. You know, you love spending time with your husband. You love being a plugged in grandma. But you've got all of this stuff. And in that niche, even though you're talking to one group of people, I see it as being able to be broad, right? It's still streamlined, but there's a lot of people that fall into that category.
Well, you
absolutely,
you can still-
absolutely,
yeah.
because, sorry, Laura, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say, you can still talk to the midlife woman because, you know, like you have a lot of value to add to that age group. And that's a huge age group, and they're cranky and they're hormonal and they're not sleeping and they need help.
Absolutely. And I look at it like I can also reach the young moms that way because I'm talking about their children, right? As well as the grandmas, because I babysit and I love my grandkids and all of those things. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, your grandkids are pretty darn cute.
What can I say?
I'm looking at one right now. Yeah, she's like, yes, I am. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else have a focused group of people?
I think, like, for me, I was just working on this niche idea because you kind of referenced that it felt limiting in the beginning, right? To just focus, like, I'll miss all these other people if I just focus on one kind of person. So I'm just processing that myself. So
now, Carrie, do you think that that's because we look at it in our own vision of our own bubble, right? Like if I only looked at the group of Meadow Lake people that I have, and if I'm only talking to pastors' wives, there aren't a whole lot of us here. But you forget that because we are, you know, we're wide, right? Like we're talking to anybody in North America, Australia, New Zealand, et cetera, right? That widens, like your pool just got way bigger.
Instagram is a huge thing. Like that's where I signed most of my new people from 2020 is Instagram, because you have such a broad market. So I will tell you that the hashtags are definitely key, because people have found me through IBS hashtag. They have, and I didn't know that. And so I was like, well, how did you find me? And then they told me. I was like, oh, so those hashtags do work. Because somebody, my newest ambassador, and Jennifer, I don't think she's on this call, but she was in November or so desperate because of IBS. And she's like, people will go onto Instagram and they'll type in their symptom and see what comes up. So you've got midlife woman, you've got pastor's wife, you've got homeschool mom, stay at home mom, there's homeschool groups, there's so many things that you can plug into. Absolutely. And find your tribe that way.
Absolutely. Amy, can you unmute? She just said something astounding, which I'm not surprised at. Amy, can you unmute?
Yes, I can.
Can you say what you said?
Yeah, I think so. I can. So I totally understand Carrie's niching down issue and missing people. So the other piece I'm trying to wrap my brain around is, does that mean that I have a scarcity issue and mindset around the people that have my issues or the people that I can connect with? Just like Laura did an awesome job of giving Carrie a bunch of words, because someone else can often see our niche quicker and faster and clearer than we can.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just to recap, that is our mindset on niche a scarcity issue. Like that was a mic drop for me, Amy. You just blew my mind.
I definitely had that.
It is a scarcity issue.
Yeah.
There
But
won't
I will
be enough
tell you,
people. There won't be enough
that.
people in my niche. That's a real thing, guys. That was for me, right? There won't be enough people to hear my message.
Yeah.
If I only do this. Is it true? No.
No, and that's what I was scared of. And it took me how many years? Almost 4 before I finally tried it.
Mhm.
It works.
So I'm going to pick on somebody, and pick meaning I love you. Nicole, you are a beautiful, amazing artist. Bullet journaling, all the things. Have you ever felt like that's not enough people would do that, so you couldn't have that be your niche of people that you're talking to? Dun, dun, dun. Sorry. She does
I don't
power
know.
hours with
It's
me
really
often.
hard to combine the two. So yeah, I have got a lot of good comments combining the two kind of areas, but it's hard to keep up with.
Mhm. But you can just bullet journal in general and still talk about health. Like,
Yeah.
I can imagine a beautiful picture of like a spread, right? With your picture sitting beside it, right? And hashtagging gut health, and it can just be your March spread or whatever, right? Like, I still think you can, people who bullet journal still need balanced blood sugars. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
I've never posted like any behind the scenes, hey, this is what I'm working on today, and I should.
You can do that as an Instagram reel. They're very, very popular. I have not figured out really how to do them.
Diana like cracked the real code last weekend, and she was like, I don't even know what I did because it was lemon water. You guys have to go look. It's, you know what? It's not like this crazy. So how do I get views or what? It doesn't seem to matter. What seems to matter is the amount of times you post.
I listened to a call with Emily Gibson yesterday, and she said that she was trying these reels, and she has ADHD. She says, or ADD, one of the two, or both. I don't know. Anyway, she just said the idea of doing reels and having all the text, boop, 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 was too overwhelming for her, and she just shut down. She's like, I can't do that. And Brooke Hemingway talked some sense into her, and she's like, just do a reel of what your pool. It has gotten almost 1 million views, people. So she's like, she listened to Brooke and did it. But she's like, who wants to look at my, like a time lapse of pool being put in? Apparently a lot of people. So
it's insane how many people have watched those reels. I've been watching them. Anybody else watch Emily go?
Yeah.
I've been watching them dig the stupid hole in the ground. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, why am I watching somebody dig a stupid hole? And I'm like, because it's cool and I want a pool too. And so I'm watching the pool. I don't understand it. Right?
I was just gonna say one of my first reels that I ever did got the most on it, but I think I know why. Because I had a lot of young girls wanting to friend me afterwards because it was my boys just throwing up water when it was so cold. And that was it. And that was seriously it. And then afterwards I'm like, what the heck? I've got all these young girls like trying to friend me and stuff. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. So anyways, put your children on, use them as bait. What can I say?
I can't get my teen boys. Well, they're going to be 20 and 22. I can't get them on.
But you know what? I think part of this though, Jim,
they didn't know, Laura. They didn't know.
Oh, that's even better.
My reel that has had the most views is the one of me throwing water up into the air too.
I know.
And I think what it is we discount our mundane everyday stuff that is not normal to other people, right? Like I'm how many of us have ever thrown boiling water up into the air to watch it go, right?
I have never done that.
Everyone's gonna do it. It's like the cracking the egg on the sidewalk thing that, some people do it, and it's fairly common in different areas, right?
It is not common here.
Well, you don't have cold. Here it's cold.
It would basically be just rain.
Why would I make it rain more? But in Saskatchewan, it's pretty normal to do that, right? And so a Saskatchewan person would be like, why would I watch that? Or, oh, that's cool. I'm not going to watch 6 of them. But somebody else who maybe it never gets that cold, they're like, what? That's crazy, right? But it just
and Janelle, I would also do reels with my grandchildren, but my children won't allow it.
Well, yes, that's true.
right? So
That's true. It's, yeah, anyway, so we digress to reels, but it's funny things that get your views. So I would love to hear, is there anybody else who wants to talk your landscape pictures? Yes, Amy, there will be tons of people that want to see the things you see on a daily basis that you think like they astound you because they're beautiful, but other people are like, right? Mind
Well, and Sherry and Amy have the egg rec, or I don't know what it's called, agricultural thing. That is something that's huge out in certain areas.
Okay, I shouldn't read from the bottom of the comments up because all I saw was Amy saying drug bait, and I think she meant something different. She's talking about Jimmy's kids.
No, I'm thinking as you're talking that I need to know what my plexus story is in order to know what my niche is. So
Potentially, or you need to know who you want to help.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's people like me. So if I know what I am getting out of it, it'll be easier to know what I want to share.
So, okay, so it's interesting. My husband and I were talking about this because he's trying to decide whether or not he wants to really jump in and start being more, you guys can all message him privately and say, yes, please start an Instagram account, please start, right? And so I said, so who do you want to talk to? And so he kind of went broad. I'm like, no, who? Like, what is your passion? He's like, well, law enforcement. I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, and so I talk about mental health. I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, and workouts and like, you know, shift, like getting ready for shift and whatever. I'm like, uh-huh. Like, and we're gonna fit like, you know, because he was like, I could talk about vital biome and I talk about this. And I'm like, but it all falls under law enforcement. Like, yes,
Yeah.
Other men, they can fit into it too if they want to, but it'll be law enforcement. And that's your niche. And you can talk mental health and you can talk about all that stuff, but it's law enforcement. It's not like moms with 6 kids. That's not the person that's going to follow your account unless their husband is law enforcement, right? His story is bigger than just mental health, but that's what he's passionate about, is helping other law enforcement officers with their mental health.
Well, and there's nothing saying that just because he's targeting law enforcement, that let's say a tired, overworked pastor wouldn't follow that and go, if a shift worker can do good with this, then so could I, right? Like it doesn't just limit.
No.
Oh, I should hear myself talk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, doesn't that
Yeah.
turns, right? But you know what, you even think about it, like there could be people, for example, and I'm just using this as an example. There could be people that were interested in law enforcement or being in law enforcement who never got that, but they're still interested in it. And they're still interested in all the stuff. So maybe they still watch it, right? So for me, Nicole, I am super interested in your bullet journaling. I'm probably not going to sit down and do it, even though I like to draw. I'm relatively artistic. I can't do what you do, but I don't take the time to do it. But what you're doing still interests me. I don't have to be a bullet journaler in order to resonate with what you're doing. Carrie,
People can live vicariously through you.
Exactly. Carrie, I don't need to be a pastor's wife in order to find what you're doing interesting, but there can be all those things. So yeah. So
I think my most watched stories, because I have to learn reels, I'm behind you guys, but my most watched stories and likes, loves, whatever, was pictures of my kid at the soundboard at church, me at the welcome table, and my other kid ushering. So boring. And yeah, so I should, yeah.
could
get with
somebody
the-
clarify to Carrie why that's interesting?
Because it gives us a flavor for who you are and we can relate to it rather than information. Or, you know, I heard this thing, you want your customers to take things in subconsciously. And that's when they don't even have to think, I want to buy this. It comes in subconsciously.
Yeah. Well,
Yes. And guys, did you see Lisa's comment? Your family serving others together as well. Love
yeah.
Right.
Also, some people don't go to church, so I don't even know what that looks like.
You know, see,
Oh,
that's me just in
that's
my
a good
bubble
question.
thinking this.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, most of it's my daughter's hair. Let's be real.
I'm here for Alyssa's hair. I would follow your account simply to see her hair.
Right.
Now, how many of you are going to go follow Carrie just to see Alyssa's hair? It's quite incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarity. That's the key.
Does Plexus help her hair?
Nobody helps. the kid
Absolutely.
under her
No,
hair.
I'm just kidding.
She
She
can
takes
put
X
stuff
Factor
back.
Plus. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Actually, you know what? I'm formulating a post in my brain about fiery redheads and how you're going to balance hormones before that comes out as a teen. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's fantastic. I am so excited to jump into this clarity. And so I think what I would really encourage you guys, and Laura, I'd love to hear your concept on what you would encourage people to do, like open your minds to as we go forward with this. Don't be afraid of clarity, because I think that it could be easy to choose overwhelm with this again, simply because it's counter to what we're used to doing. I would rather just put all the thoughts. I have lots of words. I'd rather just put them down, right? But like, if I want to attract someone like Jennifer, who doesn't want to read all the words, and I do, because like, look at all the value she's added to our call this morning. I want to attract another Jennifer, right? So I'm now going to go, okay, less words, and that will attract that to me, right? Can you guys see the value in that?
You know, also, I have seen your name a lot, and I've had, you know, things sent to me, and we've created things, but until I saw your personality, I'm not as drawn to things until I see that. So that's what I was talking about before, is people need to see the person, and they need to see what makes them alive. And that's what's going to draw them. And the business will be a side piece, even though it's the main piece for you. It's, you know, showing up in the world, I think, is what we need to do.
Well, and that's how I love our stories for that. And I do want to say that the business isn't actually my main piece. The business is the vehicle for my main piece. And that's what I love about Plexus, is that I've been a part of other network marketing companies before, and I never could see past the goal of the business. It seemed like the goal of the business was it. That was the whole picture. That was the whole purpose of their lives, was just simply to get here. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so short-sighted. That has nothing to do with what I want. Like, it is the vehicle that is going to carry us into the purpose that we have, which is 10,000 times bigger. And that's what we want people to see, is that Plexus is not the be all and end all. It is not the end result. It is the vehicle to get to the place where your passions lie.
I have a question for everybody. Like, when you're sharing, like, I'm just thinking ahead to, we bought an acreage and we're moving at the end of the month, right? That's big. But part of me will feel hesitant to share, because I think I feel it's, what's the word, boastful, or I don't know, but you would share that. People would want to be interested in that, right?
Yes. And are you
Okay.
doing renovations?
Right. Okay. I'm a slow learner. Thanks for being patient.
People, yeah, people will follow that. You will target. If you're doing any kind of renovations, people love that. The behind the scenes, what you're doing, that is, they'll be like, hey, do you like DIY, don't you, Carrie? Yeah, that is something that you need to be sharing then. Like,
so Carrie, here's a thought. If you feel like people will feel like it's boastful for you to be sharing that, if you share a cake you made, they might feel like that was boastful. Those are not your people. Move along.
yeah.
The people who are going to take that from you, it's not going to matter what you post. They will feel like they will categorize you in that, and they will leave. And we want them to go, because we're not going to
want them to go.
We're not going to choose those people, right? I know your heart. If you were a boastful person, I'd be like, I'd say something different. You are not.
Yeah.
You will not post that way.
Yeah.
It's not you, right? But you need to just, there are so many people right now who want to buy acreages and move.
Yeah.
So many people. And then
See, that's why I think it's boastful.
No, we want to
Like rubbing it in. Oh,
Nicole, tell her. You tell
It's
her. She shakes
inspiring.
her head emphatically.
okay.
It'll inspire people. And then if you put your daughter in every picture of the renovation, you got it.
Yeah, I think it's
Perfect. This is great
inspirational.
marketing.
And I
Okay.
would love to watch it personally because
Yeah.
I would really like to buy a house, and to see somebody else do it, it's just like, oh, I need to get in. And also there's a quote that says, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. And it's Dr.
Yeah.
Seuss. You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're
Perfect.
canceling that.
And think of
Uh,
yourself as giving inspiration to other people, not bragging.
Oh, see, I just need a little mindset shift there. Thank you,
Yeah, it's like
Jennifer.
you're creating identity. You're creating an identity that's going to draw people to the identity that you have and then to your products, I think.
Okay. I think you all
Carrie?
should, I hope you're gleaning from it too.
And
Can I
I
say
really can just picture that like little Alyssa in the back of all of the pictures, just like the little redhead running through the brush.
Somebody's trying to talk.
Sorry, that's just me. I don't have a video or anything because I'm just calling from my phone. This
You're
is
good,
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
I just wanted to say that, Carrie, sometimes, there's people who aren't feeling well and they're sick, and you're talking about how great you feel. They might think, well, that's boasting, but it's like the Lord has blessed you with this amazing tool and you're sharing it. And so, if he's getting all the glory, you don't have to worry about about sharing the way that the Lord is blessing you. And this is one way that the Lord is blessing you is being successful in Plexus and being able to buy an acreage, which is so exciting. You can say, praise the Lord. Oh my gosh, he has blessed me, like bless our family, and we can afford this acreage, and you can turn it into even that kind of thing, as opposed to feeling bad about being excited about what the Lord's doing in your life.
That's perfect.
That
Thank
makes
you,
sense.
Chelsea. Yes, that makes
You're
sense.
so welcome.
That was a good spanking. No, I mean preaching. I don't know. Thank you.
We
Okay,
just
I'll
goes
go
out.
on mute again. I love you guys.
We love you too. And I think, fear can hold us back, right? But we don't want fear to hold us back from clarity, right? We don't want that fear to hold us back from reaching the right people. So again, apparently we're just using Carrie as a, sorry, you let it out. We're just using you as an example today. If Carrie does not show that, right, she's going to miss delivering the clear message to the people who need to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Absolutely. Okay, so we're at 11 o'clock.
I raised my hand.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Please do. I liked what you said about the person coming to your house. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it was just one of those moments. I have a question for Jennifer. So in our desire to be clear on our message and going forward, and you made the comment about not knowing what your story is with Plexus or what you found or who you want to help. But there's a lot of people in that situation, and a lot of us trying to help people who, quote unquote, don't have their story yet.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you start Plexus? What are you looking for? And that can include just like people to talk to.
Yeah, I think my difficulty is that I'm doing so many things at the same time that I can't always tell which was Plexus and which was other things, because I was diagnosed with bipolar this summer and I started on medication. I'd done a lot of natural things and I ended up having to take medication, which I didn't want to, but I also started Plexus at the same time because I got connected with Laura through another business group. And I thought I'd heard about it so many times. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try this. But then when I looked at the products after I got them, I realized they had a lot of the things. I also have Hashimoto's. And so I had it, but now it's kind of gone away, not just because of Plexus, but other things. And so I started the Plexus, but I noticed it had a lot of the things that I had read were good for Hashimoto's, but it was all in one spot. So I didn't have to I was taking like vitamin D and I was taking zinc and I was taking all these different pieces and it was exhausting. And my father-in-law joked, wow, you don't need breakfast because you've got enough supplements. You just don't even need to eat, you know, and so it's nice. I have a very small amount of supplements now that target the things that I need. And I know it's helping me, but yeah, I'm trying to get my head around that. But I also have another business I want to do. And I see Plexus more as a piece of that because it's more of a holistic view of trying to figure out how to address the issues you have in your life. So I have this big elephant that I'm trying to figure out what piece to work with.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. And I actually think that's really valuable to all of us because drinking water, for example, so Plexus without water doesn't work as well. Drinking the water is important too. So doing all of those other things in your life at the same time with Plexus, it's allowed everything to work better.
Right. Yeah, I would
So
agree. When I
just-
just take Plexus, I can tell a difference for sure.
I was gonna say, it sounds like
Yeah.
Plexus brought clarity because you didn't have to, like, it lessened the complication.
Yeah, I like simple. I don't like a lot of difficulty. I want to get it done and to go on to the next thing.
Awesome.
I've seen it.
That's a fantastic way of posting, Jennifer.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fantastic way of posting. Make your life simpler.
Yeah.
Streamline it. Work it together.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Plexus keeps things simple. Love it.
And Jennifer, Amy has Hashimoto's too. So
Yeah.
you guys have that in common.
That's fantastic. I love
I
that.
think a lot of people do because it's an epidemic right now. And so is autoimmune.
And mental health.
And they're
And you know,
connected.
But that's related to it. Yeah.
the piece to the mental health as somebody who was diagnosed bipolar years and years and years ago. You are doing everything that you know how to do, right? Like, yes, you had to introduce medication, but you are also supporting your body on the other side of it. And I love that. That is the holistic approach, right? You're looking at the entire picture. So
Thank you.
fantastic. Okay, so here's my challenge. And Laura, I'm sorry, I thought about this as we were getting onto this. I feel like if we could go through the remainder of section 1 for next week, and then if you are able, if you are not, we'll just have to play things by ear. If you guys could embark on chapters 4 and 5, I think what's going to happen, I'm just preempting. I think what's going to happen is you guys are going to read that SB7 framework and you're going to be like, okay, so now what do I do? Because we all are posting every day. I think you guys are going to want the fundamentals. So I think that we might need to dive in. So if you can get those 2 chapters done, great. And we'll kind of reassess, those 4 chapters. We'll reassess next week and see where everybody got to. And if nobody got to the first 2 chapters in the second section, then we know to take more time, right? We don't want to muscle through this so that you guys lose the value of it, but we also don't want to camp on it too long that you're like, but I know I need to change something. And then you end up with analysis paralysis because you know that you need to change something, but you don't have the tools to do it yet.
Chapter 2 is got a lot of really good nuggets. And I highlighted pretty much everything. So
Awesome.
it's going to be eye-opening, I think, for a lot of us, and how this is going to play out. How do we help clarify our message? So I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm just going to take a really quick picture of everyone's names, and we're going to start a chat with everyone so that if we have other discussion that we want to go through throughout the week, we can do that. If you guys don't get added to a chat group, just put your name, like say I'm in or something underneath one of the posts for the StoryBrand thing, and we'll get you into the chat, because oftentimes the discussion kind of comes on the outside. So thank you guys so much for investing in yourselves. I am so excited to do this with you guys. And yeah, Laura, do you have any other takeaways for today?
That's great. It was great.
Clarity of message. I'm really excited. How many times can I say I'm really excited? I'm just really excited. Okay. Anyway,
I'm wondering if we can also spend time, because what you guys told me after I shared was really helpful. If we can spend some time doing that, and then Carrie, I know, did that as well. it's really helpful because when you say things, like you said, people hear it and they hear what your thing is, but you don't always hear it. You get lost in your head.
Mhm.
So that was really, really good.
Absolutely. I think we definitely can spend some time on our Zooms kind of trying to help people help each other with clarity. And
Or
that
maybe in the
empathy
chat.
is so important.
So you did.
Yeah, because every week won't be a one-on-one Carrie coaching call. Let's all share.
It's all about you. No. We're all here for you. No, and that's what I love about this community is that we are so invested in each other, regardless of what, you know, like regardless of whose team is where and whatever. We just want to see everyone succeed. So,
Yeah.
and don't be
Yeah, I
afraid to message myself or your upline or whatever. We all love Laura. Don't bombard Laura with all the questions because yeah, she knows a lot of things. Maybe if we've got lots of questions for her, we'll get her to do a live or something like that.
Should we start a group chat, you said? That would be helpful.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna-
And if somebody is like, I don't understand this, then we can go through it as the week goes on.
And we might find that as we're doing this, we want to add like almost like a group coaching. Do you know what I mean? Like we want to actually do.
I didn't digest the book in one foul swoop. I did it in small things and let my brain kind of go, okay, because I was super scared to niche down. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I had huge anxiety over that. But then when I saw, you know, as I went through, I was like, I'm just going to try it. And then you were like, what are you doing different? And I'm like, oh, you mean it's working? Like if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have known. Like I was still in my experimental stage. So yeah.
Well, here's another layer for you guys. If you don't already follow, and this is Instagram, but if you don't already follow Insta Club Hub on Instagram, they do a lot of talking about niches and niching down. And if you want to go even further, they have a subscription, monthly subscription thing where you can get into their trainings and that kind of thing. So if you're really needing extra support in this, you can go there as well. We are not the be all and end all one-stop shop kind of deal. But everybody just needs to take from the smorgasbord of things available to them. And yeah. All right. Okay, guys, have a fabulous Saturday. Thank you for being with us and we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, when there is a time change, we will stay with the Saskatchewan time of 10 o'clock, but it will change to the time zone of Mountain. Does that make sense? Right now we're at 10 Central. We don't change.
So it'll be at
So
at
it'll be
10
9.
Mountain Time.
It'll be 9 Eastern, 10 Mountain, 11 Central, 12. No, sorry. 9 Pacific. There we go. 9 Pacific.
That starts the 20th.
Yes.
Next week
no,
is still at the same time as today.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Daylight savings time is the 14th, but next week falls, yes. So next week now, the week after.
20th is my birthday. I'll be 45. I'll be zooming on my birthday. How's that?
We'll have a party.
Oh, we get to celebrate with you. That's so exciting, Laura.
And it'll be 9 o'clock.
Yeah, right? Hey, what a great birthday gift.
Awesome.
Right. Okay, have a great day, guys. We will talk soon.
Thank you.